Welcome everyone to the 2020 Kansas Tourism Conference. My name is Bridget Jobe, and I am the Director of Tourism with Kansas Wildlife Parks and Tourism. Normally, at this time, I would be welcoming you to our bi-weekly Kansas Tourism Industry Virtual Huddle. But in lieu of the huddles for the month of October, we have turned every October Wednesday afternoon into a session for the 2020 Kansas Tourism Conference. I guess you could say this is a month-long conference. And I do know that this year's conference is very different than other years. It is hard not to see you all in person. But I also know that we are a resilient industry, and we will make this year's virtual conference the best it can be. And I am confident that it is going to be beneficial, educational, and hopefully entertaining for each and every one of you. So thank you for pivoting, and thank you for being here for day one of the 2020 Kansas Tourism Conference. The Kansas Tourism Conference is brought to you as a partnership between TIAC, the Travel Industry Association of Kansas, and the Kansas Tourism Division. I do want to thank our sponsors for the 2020 Kansas Tourism Conference. They are Emporia Convention and Visitors Bureau, Visit Topeka, Visit Shawnee, and Visit Kansas City, Kansas. Throughout this conference, you are going to be hearing from many speakers and presenters. You're going to be hearing from different members of the tourism division and from many different folks from TIAC and from many other tourism-related organizations in Kansas. You can see on your screen that we have a very packed agenda for you today. And I'm excited to be able to bring Dave Serino with 26 Digital as being our main speaker for the day. But first, to kick off the 2020 Kansas Tourism Conference in style, please join me in welcoming the Secretary of Wildlife Parks and Tourism, Brad Lovelace.
Thank you, Bridget. Can you hear me all right?
We can.
Okay, thanks very much. I appreciate that welcome. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to the 2020 Tourism Conference. This is the first, and we all hope the last virtual tourism conference that we have. But appreciate you all adjusting with us, and I think it's a great approach to spread this out in small doses throughout the month of October, as Bridget and her team have done with TIAC. So I'm looking forward to it myself. I'd also like to thank the City of Liberal for flexibility, their willingness to move the conference to 2021 at their place. We are looking forward to their hospitality next October. This has certainly been a challenging year, but I've been really impressed with the perseverance, the flexibility that you all have shown as I cross the state, listen to how you've adjusted and managed through this COVID challenge. I was just down in Osawatomie this morning with the governor, celebrating the opening of the head of the Flint Hills Trail with her, and the CVB folks there came up to me and said how much they had appreciated working with us this year and how they had kind of pivoted and made adjustments, and it really benefited from some different kinds of tourism that they don't always emphasize down there. But the outdoor tourism associated with the trail and Hillsdale Lake has been a help to them. And I know across the state, again, as I travel, I see that everywhere. You all are not owning the challenges that we face, but rather looking for opportunities within that. And that's been inspiring to me as I've heard your stories as I moved around the state. So our governor, Governor Laura Kelly, of course, is a big supporter of tourism. And you know, based on her background, she certainly understands the ecotourism side of things. But I would tell you with certainty that she understands the breadth of tourism and the value that brings to Kansas. No matter what flavor of tourism it is, knows the value that brings, the economic boost that gives, and the challenges that we've had as we've tried to adjust around those changes this year. So I know you're looking forward to hear from her. So with no more delay, I will introduce my boss, our 48th governor of Kansas, Governor Laura Kelly.
All right, am I on?
You're on.
All right, good afternoon and welcome to the 2020 Kansas Tourism Conference. It's great to be speaking with you today. On this call today, we have representatives from chambers, economic development organizations, restaurants, lodging facilities, museums, and other attractions from large and small communities across our great state. I want to thank the Travel Industry Association of Kansas for inviting me to participate today. I also want to thank Secretary of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism, Brad Lovelace. Secretary Lovelace has been a relentless advocate for the Kansas tourism industry and the communities it supports. Tourism is a major economic driver for Kansas. In 2018, we had over 35 million visitors and generated $628 million in state and local taxes. It promotes outdoor recreation and physical activity. It supports jobs and injects dollars into our local economies. And the benefits of tourism extend beyond revenue. An active tourism industry is the best safeguard to preserve our state's unique history and beautiful landscapes to share with future generations. Your work is essential, and our communities benefit every day because of it. I do understand that since the pandemic began, efforts to limit the spread of COVID-19 have caused significant challenges for the tourism industry in our state, in our nation, and around the world. And even with these obstacles, you have not stopped working to share what our incredible state has to offer with visitors nationwide, even worldwide. I was impressed by the Kansas Tourism Office's new virtual travel page, which allows people to learn more about our state's many points of interest from the comfort of their home, and hopefully make plans to visit in person as soon as they can. The industry has adapted, embraced the new normal, and is learning more every day how to move forward safely. For instance, this conference was originally scheduled to be hosted by the Liberal Convention and Visitors Bureau. Clearly, gathering for educational workshops, networking, and social events flies in the face of all public health measures we need to take. So going virtually, still connecting and communicating, sharing ideas, and providing natural support for your colleagues across the state is testimony to your creativity and commitment to your profession and your communities. There's no doubt that the past few months have been incredibly difficult, but I appreciate your understanding and your patience as we continue to navigate and recover from this unprecedented public health crisis. My administration is committed to standing with you and helping your industry not only recover to pre-COVID conditions, but ensure it grows bigger and better than ever before. Have a great conference and stay safe.
Governor Kelly, Secretary Lovelace, thank you both for being such great advocates for the tourism industry in Kansas. We truly do appreciate it. I would now like to introduce the 2020 TIAC President, Kelly Petum. Kelly?
All right, thank you, Bridget. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. This is the first day of the Kansas Travel Conference 2020. When I became president this year, one of the things I was nervous about was the Kansas Travel Conference. A lot of it has a lot of public speaking, which a lot of us are really kind of nervous about. But I never would have thought I'd be giving you my opening remarks from my basement. So I guess I could say, hey, it's 2020 and anything's possible. So look forward to that. We have a lot to look forward to today. Over the next 3 weeks, we have some great education and some great speakers coming to you. So please stay engaged and register for all the future events that are upcoming. Let's also thank our sponsors again, Emporia CVB, Visit Shawnee, Visit Topeka, and Visit Kansas City, Kansas. I also like to thank Bridget and her team, the Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism. The partnership we have with this and TIAC is something that probably without their help, we probably couldn't put this event on for the next couple of months. It's like I said earlier, 2020 is a different year, and we've had to kind of pivot as As Bridget's told us, that word is now a 4-letter word, but we've been pivoting and bringing you, I think it's going to be a great couple of weeks. So again, stay engaged and please register for the future events. Right now we have close to 150 participants. So I think that's a great remarks from our group. And as Bridget said, we're very resilient, and I think we're all wanting to get together, but we'll have to look at the future for doing that. I have the pleasure now of introducing the only person I know that can handle being awarded the Kansas Travel Conference for 2020, then having it moved to a virtual conference for 2020, and then finally getting to host it all for 2021. So without further ado, Ms. Sally Fuller.
Well, hi guys. We are so flippin' sorry that you are not coming to Liberal this year, but the advantage of a virtual conference is that you can participate from your kitchen, flipping pancakes, wearing your pajamas. We're gonna let you flip pancakes next year, but we're gonna make you get dressed to do it. Welcome to the first session of the virtual 2020 Kansas Tourism Conference. It's my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Dave Serino. He's the founder of 26 Digital and a 30-year veteran of the travel, tourism, and hospitality industry. He's held marketing positions in hotels, resorts, and convention and visitors bureaus, along with launching 2 startup ventures and national social media educational conferences. To date, Serino has presented educational sessions at more than 200 travel industry conferences, and he's one of the tourism industry's leaders in the area of education and thought leadership. Dave also serves on the board of the West Michigan Tourist Association and is a member of the Michigan Craft Beverage Council's Marketing Committee. Please join me in welcoming Dave Serino.
Thank you, Sally. And I would definitely like to come to your house for breakfast one of these days. So I'd like to say hello to everyone, and I wish I was there with you all in Kansas. I am located right now in Brighton, Michigan, which is the 26 Digital headquarters. We're about maybe 20 minutes from a Big Ten school. I know a lot of you are familiar with colleges and the University of Kansas and Kansas State, which shout out to the Wildcats for that big win over Oklahoma a few weeks ago. It was good to see. It was a lot of fun to watch. So we are here in Michigan, and I wish I could be in Kansas. We all wish we could be together, but we'll be traveling soon. So I'm going to take you through a few steps today. We're going to talk a little bit about some trends, things that are happening in terms of COVID. How could we adjust? How we can prepare? And we'll show you some case studies on how to use some digital marketing throughout your next promotions. So who are we? Well, we're a digital marketing agency, and we are located in the state of Michigan. We work primarily in the travel, tourism, hospitality industry. All of our clients fall within that realm. We work with a lot of tourism organizations throughout the entire country, from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan all the way down to Puerto Rico. So we go far north, far south, and we also go far east and west. As Sally said, my bio, I've been in the travel, tourism, hospitality industry my entire career. It's been a great start, moved from hotels to convention and visitors bureaus, and then had a great opportunity to start working in some technology and technology marketing back in the late 90s. And I was fortunate enough to stay in the industry and see how things evolve. So I've got a wealth of experience, and even deployed my first website at the city of Ann Arbor for the Ann Arbor Convention and Visitors Bureau back in 1995. So that's really going way back in terms of digital marketing. So let's start off with what happened in 2020. Well, here at 26 Digital, we were about to launch one of our most successful years ever. In March of 2020, March 1, our revenue was skyrocketing. We were doing a lot of work. We had a ton of inquiries, and we were really excited about how things were going. And we were on the upswing, just like a lot of you were. And then all of a sudden, this hit. And within a week, and I'm sure we've all felt that pain. But within a week, we erased about 1/3 of our revenue off our books. So it was quite an eye opener for us. So we are still working our way back, and just like many of you are, we're almost there. Believe it or not, about 6 months later or so, we're almost at the spot we were back on March 1. But just like everybody else in the travel and tourism hospitality industry, we're working hard to get back there, and we're really looking forward to a strong recovery. So when COVID showed up, a lot of crazy things started to happen, and when Disneyland and Disney World closed, it was much scarier than the haunted house for all of us. And our towns and our cities and places like New York City, Times Square, where there's always a hustle bustle, got eerily quiet. And then, of course, all of us in this industry, where we're really faced with the biggest challenge we have ever had probably in our lives. And I worked through the 2001 scenario with the World Trade Centers. I also worked through the 2008-9 financial crisis. And so I was well weathered, but I wasn't weathered enough to incur or expect to what happened here. So let's look through our lens here, and let's take a quick look to see what type of opportunities we have. So we're going to share some data with you, and I'm sure many of you by now are familiar with Destination Analyst, organization based out of San Francisco, California. Aaron Francis and David Bratton, two close friends of mine. I'm sure you've seen their presentations throughout the COVID period. We've been working with them for probably 10 to 15 years now. And we work with their State of the American Traveler. Even after all of the COVID stuff dies down, when it eventually will, I would highly recommend subscribing to their State of the American Travel report, which comes out quarterly. And there's some great insights on the way travelers are using technology and how they're preparing for trends in travel and how they are setting up their travel. So if we look at some of the data from their latest report, which came out this week. So I'll start out with the bad, but we're going to finish with some good. So we look at this as consumers, how they're feeling, better, much better, worse, or much worse. It looks like the worse and much worse are taking a bit of an uptick in the last few weeks. Obviously, with a few flares and things are happening, and also this was post President Trump contracting some COVID. So you could see maybe some alarm within in the community and the public. But good one, some good news here is if you look at American travelers' state of mind, about 56% or so of the population is about ready to travel. So they're feeling good, and they're starting to feel a little bit better about their travel opportunities. So if we look at what their likely trip destinations are, everybody is looking for something remote, looking for something outdoors. Cities have a little bit of interest, but it's mostly outdoor activities, places like beach destinations, parks, etc. And about 50% of the people out there right now are open to new destinations. So everyone in Kansas, or most of the people in Kansas, places like the Flint Hills, Dodge City, and even the Lewisburg cider mill, all of these are great locations to be well positioned with consumers today during the COVID crisis and getting them moving around a little bit and making them feel comfortable when they travel. Now, if we look at the top 10 most important factors in destination selection, well, if we take a look at these, 3 out of the 10 listed here all have something to do with safety precautions and feeling safe and letting people know exactly what's happening within your location or destination. So this is one of the top things that we've seen early on in the crisis, where everyone was starting to build some landing pages and communicate as well as they can to consumers, let them know what's open, what they can expect when they get there. If you are still preparing or moving in through this process, be sure to include some photos and videos of what your community and what your attraction or location is doing right now. Be sure to have some masks. This is from Frankenmuth, Michigan, right after they launched their recovery campaign in mid to late June. They went out, did a photo shoot with a lot of people in the streets, took a lot of photos, showed a lot of people in masks, showed people what to expect when they get there. One of our other customers, Traverse City, Michigan, not only built an informative landing page, but they also developed this video. You'll be able to see this in a second. So it showed you exactly what the streets look. They closed some streets and some areas for social distancing. They showed the consumers walking around the streets with their masks on. They walked you through the process of going into a potential shop and a restaurant and a winery, which are big attractions in that area. One of the other things they did on the video is they included text. If you're doing any of these type of videos, be sure to include text. And look at these two ladies were so happy to be out there. They even took selfies to share with their friends. So this is all good stuff. So this is one of the things you definitely have to put on your list as you're moving forward in this time. This is another video or a series of videos from Aspen, Colorado. They did a heck of a job here communicating how to do COVID in Aspen, Colorado. They put a series of videos together, posted them all up on their YouTube channel, shared them on their website. They're showing their guides with masks. They're showing you how you can interact and take part in all the activities. They're showing how everyone is social distance, how if you rent bikes or take bikes out, the outfitter will be cautious and caring about your health and safety. All excellent messages that we need to communicate to the consumers as they are preparing to travel and move through this entire process and start to recover. Now, what are travelers most receptive to in destination marketing? Well, if you look at this entire list, about 7 out of 10 of these are digital or social media related, which again is good news for us because it's a very low barrier to entry, it's easy to do, and it's extremely trackable and accountable. And we're going to talk about many of these things today as we move through the presentation. So we're going to be in very good standing. Now, one of the other things that was revealed this week in the Destination Analyst Report was something about discounts, pricing, and value. So right now we're starting to see a little bit of an uptick about consumers being more receptive to discounts and value and packages and pricing, and their pricing sensitivity has kind of increased, and they're looking forward to seeing a little bit more value as they plan their future travel. So as I look through the State of Kansas website, they have a great location here on their site that has lodging and coupons and deals. They have a few coupons and deals listed in there. I'm not sure what the parameters are to be listed, but if you have a coupon, deal, discount, value package that you can promote within your hotel, your restaurant, your resort, your destination, highly recommend putting that either seeing if you can add that to their website, definitely adding it to your website, and doing the best you can in terms of distribution on that. And if you look at this, here's another great idea in terms of distribution. This is the state of Michigan does they call it a featured deals newsletter. The Thursday of each month goes out to about 300,000 people each month. They've collected these names and email addresses probably over about a 16, 18 year period. And each month they send out an email with maybe 10 to 12 deals in them. We don't want to overbear you don't want to overcapacitate the consumer. So we want to keep it between 10 and 15 deals in a newsletter. And if you looked at one of the deals like this one in Ludington, Michigan, you can click on the read more, and it takes you to a specific landing page that lists more details about the package. So as you're developing your packages and getaways and specials, make sure you have a dedicated landing page. Make sure you tell a little bit of the story about the package, how they can enjoy it, and do whatever you can to enhance it for those consumers. Next, schoolcations and workcations kind of turned into a big topic now. We all have freedom and flexibility in terms of our work and school right now. I'm sure Kansas, just like Michigan, many of the schools have gone virtual and or hybrid, gives people a lot of flexibility. You can actually live and work pretty much anywhere today and still get your job done. And we're very thankful for things like the internet to help us do that. If you look at this slide, we're looking at about 45% of the people are interested in staycation or workcations and schoolcations. And if I did find online that Topeka was looking to lure remote workers. I think this possibly could have been pre-COVID, but places like Michigan's Keweenaw Peninsula, which are way up in the Upper Peninsula. And one of the cool things about the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, they came out with a slogan that said they've been socially distancing since they've been founded, which is kind of really a fun thing because it's a lot of wilderness, a lot of outdoors, and a lot of space to roam. And I'm sure there's plenty of places just like that, Kansas, that can relate. Another location that's doing some nice remote work promotion is Port Aransas, Texas. But again, if you're doing any of this, make sure you list out a nice landing page on your website, tell the details, list what it's going to cost, and talk about the features and benefits that people can enjoy when they're there. One of the things that the state of Michigan is aggressively promoting is education opportunities for students as they are working remotely or doing remote things. They can visit historic sites and learn a little bit more about history. And it's a great little thing that they could toss into the program that can be beneficial in the long term for those students. So next we look at how confident you are to travel safely in the current environment. And this is one of them that has gotten us excited. So even though about only 45 or 55% of the people out there have taken it upon themselves to do some traveling throughout the last few months, those who did, 76% said who are already traveling, say they're confident and very confident to travel again. So this is really good news for us in the travel and tourism industry. People are feeling confident with the way airlines are treating them, with the way transportation is treating them, the cleanliness of hotels, the precautions everyone's taking with mask wearing and sanitizing. So these are all big positives for us. We need to continue this message as travel and tourism marketers and keep consumers confident that we are doing the best to keep them safe during this entire process. And hopefully, if we keep doing that, we're going to come back stronger than ever. So as we get into this presentation, one of the things we have to think about as we start to develop some digital marketing and strategies is a plan and a process and a strategy. And it's very important to have one of these laid out prior to doing anything. And we at 26 Digital always talk about, we analyze before we strategize, where we do a lot of research work and preparation before launching any campaign. Now, back in the old days, Peggy and Don Draper used to do the same, but at different levels. They didn't have access to all the data we do at our fingertips, and they're not as fortunate as we are right now as marketers. But long ago, they would do their research and they would do things like this and develop an ad. This is a real fun ad from Pan American Airlines, and some of you out there may not even know what Pan American Airlines are, but they're called Pan Am back in the old days. So Pan Am did an ad, Fly to Kansas. They would take this ad and place it in a magazine. I'm sure some of you are familiar with that kind of work, right? Here's another one from the state of Michigan, Water Wonderland Vacation. So what would happen is they would place these ads in magazines, and they would sit back and cross their fingers and hope that the phone would ring, or hope somebody would show up and travel, or hope somebody would write a letter and request another guide for travel, and take that information and hopefully plan a future trip. Well, because of the digital age right now, and one of the mantras here for us at 26 Digital is hope is not a strategy. So we believe there's no reason to hope anymore. You can really plan through your process. You could develop a strong strategy with all of the data and information we have today. And we're going to show you how we get at it right now. So during this process, we started to evolve, right? We've evolved all the way up to the guy, maybe the fourth person in line there. That was a person reading the magazine and moving forward. But then all of a sudden, the leader in the line now is working on his mobile device. That mobile device, probably that man is carrying around right now, has more firepower than the computers that we shot the original Apollo rockets off to the moon with. And we all carry one of those right in our pocket. So it does a lot of things. And with that device, we get absorbed in social media, many aspects of it, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, now TikTok. Everybody's into TikTok now. And so we spend a lot of our waking hours engaging in these platforms, communicating with friends, discussing things with colleagues, maybe even posting some of our political views, right? And those are some of the people that you may hide throughout your feed throughout the process. But anyway, this is where we're at now. Where do we come to in the old days of social media? And when I say old days, I mean a few years ago. We would just take a piece of content, post it on our feed, and again, cross our fingers and hope something would happen with it and people would start to engage with it. But what happened was the organic experience with social media, and especially Facebook, has kind of went by the wayside. So Facebook, throttled their feet a little bit about 2 years ago. And now the consumers and the content you see in your feed is really based on the engagement that consumers are taking on that piece of content and engaging with it and sharing and interacting. And that gives you a better chance or a better chance for someone else to see it in their feed and spread that with a little bit of virality. Well, we can't always depend on that. And when we have all of these messages and multiple messages in multiple places, we're all trying to get those messages to the right consumers so they would begin to hit their little like buttons and create engagement and move that post to the top. Well, unfortunately, and maybe fortunately, it's cost a few dollars today to be successful at that approach. So we have invested, and probably like many of you have, and if you haven't, we highly suggest it, to invest in the Facebook ad platform, which supports Instagram, Facebook, content network. There's you can see ads in Messenger now, but the Facebook ad network is really the place it is, place to be. And in my 30 plus years of marketing in the travel and tourism industry, I have not come across a platform that has provided us with more targeting options that are the most accurate targeting opportunities that we have ever had, and I think that we may ever see in our entire lifetime, is what's happening right now into this network. So we go out there and we kind of look at the radar and we determine how we can market through Facebook and Instagram most successfully. So we all have plenty of data right underneath us, and the data we have that we own or we house internally as an organization, whether it be a merchant and or a tourism organization or a chamber of commerce or whatever the case is, we're sitting on plenty of data from our consumers who visit us to make a purchase or an inquiry, and or who visit our location. So the first step we take in data is recognizing the data that you possess and how to leverage it. So of course, the form that's most important or most crucial right now is email marketing and emails. So that you want to leverage your email list to its fullest potential. So whether you have an email list already, that's great. If you have people that have done past purchases, that's even better. If you have inquiries, that's excellent. So for example, how do you develop this list to be more valuable? So on the Kansas tourism site, if you click order a visitor guide, you get to enter your name, first and last name, and your email address. That email address is the magic indicator. There's kind of two magic indicators right now in data in terms of Facebook and Instagram and data householding. One is an email address, and the other is a phone number. Those two pieces of data are gold. Your phone number right now is almost as good as your social security number. I'm sure plenty of you have the same phone number you started with in the beginning, and you're probably going to carry it with you till the end. And that is a true unique identifier for who you are and what you do online. So I'm going to explain this in a little bit in a second, but let's just look at the Kansas inquiry sheet. So not only do you drop your email in, but you have a chance to drop your address and et cetera to receive the guide. But they give you the option to select specific travel guides or pamphlets like fishing regulations, a bicycle map. So right now, if I filled out this form and I requested a bicycle map, that would be a firm indicator that I have an interest in biking in the state of Kansas. And then as I come down a little farther, you give options to include cities that I may be interested in. So I could say I'm interested in a Kansas bicycle map, and I may be interested in the city of Liberal, Kansas, or Topeka, or Wichita, or whatever the case is. And these would give me additional identifiers. And then maybe an area of interest, I also click craft breweries. So right now, in your database, your email database, you know that Dave Serino submitted his email address to you. He is interested in biking. He is interested in 3 different cities, and he may also be interested in craft beverages. So this develops a persona for me as the consumer. So what do you do with all that data? And that's actually a double thumbs up right there for the state of Kansas for this collection. So now they have this data collected in little silos in their database, and they are getting prepared to use it. So when Facebook refers to this as high quality source data, not only do you have an identifier for me, but you have attributes as me as a consumer. The more attributes you have, the more fine-tuned the targeting can be, the more accurate your ads can be, the more success you will have. So the other option to collecting data from consumers is the Facebook pixel. So how the Facebook pixel works. So every website has the option to load in a pixel that's provided by Facebook through the Ads Manager. If you have not used Facebook Ads Manager as of yet, or install the pixel on your website, it is one of the things you need to do today. As soon as you get done with this conference today, make a note and get somebody on it this afternoon or tomorrow and get a pixel located on your website. So how do you tell if you have a pixel on your website? Well, if you can see, this is a screenshot of a Chrome browser, and Chrome has an extension that's a pixel identifier. And if you could see up in the top there, there's a little blue square with a green little square next to it that identifies the pixel. And before I click on the next thing, I want to shout out to Wichita for showing people with masks and telling them that they're the heart of the country, and this is great stuff. This tells me as a consumer that you're welcoming and you're also being prepared and taking all the safety precautions possible. Good stuff here. So when you click on that little pixel helper, you'll see an identifier which tells us that the pixel is on your site and it's firing correctly. So how does that pixel work? So for example, I am on my browser on my computer and I am logged into Facebook. So I'm on the Facebook app. Just like many of you, we're all in Facebook, either the app on our phone or on our computer. We never really log out of that app. We leave it open every time. Then we visit specific websites. So for example, if I went to the Wichita site and I looked for nightlife or taverns and maybe craft breweries, and I look for craft breweries on the Wichita site, and if the pixel was collecting and firing properly, which it is, it will put me in a bucket and identify me within the Facebook network because I'm in the same browser and I'm logged into Facebook. It will place me in a bucket within the gigantic Facebook data farm that they work out of and identify me as a person who showed interest in craft breweries in Wichita, Kansas. So when Wichita would like to do some future targeting, they now have an audience. And so really you think of this, and we call these custom web audiences. So they're people on Facebook, and they rotate to the left to visit that website, and then they're dropped in the middle in that little audience. So it's a great indicator and a great collector of data. So now we have two data sources. The first data source is our own data. Everyone who has come and inquired with our organization or made a purchase. And the second is people who have visited our website or specific pages on our website. So how do you build these audiences out? Well, actually, there's a few ways. So once you're in your ads manager, you can step in there and you can start to develop what we call custom audiences. So we would go in and all of those email addresses that we've collected, whether email address or phone number with a unique identifier, we can load them up into the Facebook engine. The emails and phone numbers and the user data is opaque when it goes in. Nobody knows, they cannot see who specifically these people are. They're placed in a bucket. Everyone has a number attached to them as an identifier number. So there's no real huge worries about privacy here. But you should have a privacy statement on your website saying that if you are collecting data that you may use this for future ad marketing on places like Facebook, etc. And you know, Pinterest right now has the same type of audiences. LinkedIn does, Twitter does. Every one of these online organizations have the same way to develop and build audiences. So you take them all up and you load them, and you can start to build audiences. And if you can see on the slide here, you'll see several different slides or sizes of the audience. We go in, we upload the email list, and maybe you have an email list of 30,000 people, and maybe 15 or 25 of those match, identifying this person on your list. And if you have additional attributes, for example, early on we talked about craft breweries. If you had you identified me as a person who was interested in craft breweries and you're thinking about doing some craft beer promotions, you can upload that audience and label it as a craft beer audience. And if you can see some of these labels here, we have outdoor rec, we have beach audiences. We also have one down there, if you can see that on the lower left, it says video view files. You can actually use a video in an ad, and you can build additional audiences of people who actually watch that video through. So for example, if it was a video on biking, and I watched that video through 3 seconds, or 25% or 50% or 75%, the more I watch through that video, probably the more valuable I would be to show an interest in biking in your location, and you can build additional audiences off of that. So we call this, again, these are your high source audiences. So then we take these high source and these high value audiences and we build bigger audiences. As you saw, those audiences on the last slide range anywhere from about 10 or 20,000 all the way up to a couple 100,000. No, that sounds like a lot of people, but in the big world of Facebook where there's billions and billions of users, it's not really a lot. So what we try to do is we try to build a lookalike audience. And so the application gives you the option or the ability to take your good quality source data and say, for example, you have an email list of 10,000 people who showed an interest in craft brewing and or biking. And you took that list, and all of these people within that list have similar actions and activities that they've taken within the Facebook network. And this helps build their persona. So that old saying, birds of a feather flock together, it still holds true today. So people with similar actions behave the same. So we take those audiences, those custom audiences, if we had a brew pub audience of 10,000 people or a microbrewery audience of 10,000 people, and we wanted to create a lookalike, which gives us more people with similar interests and similar personas for a bigger reach in our marketing. So if you look at this, we kind of simplify it by saying, you know, we have one zebra and we try to find more zebras. So the whole idea is identifying one particular niche or interest and then trying to duplicate that through the Facebook application. So we take our high quality source data and we build a 1% lookalike audience, which could be up into the millions. Now you would say, well, geez, a million may not be an audience that we want to target, but then you would start to narrow down based on your geographic interests, and you would slowly narrow down that audience to be a realistic target for some advertising for those consumers who would be apt to travel to Kansas or to your location. So now it's time to go to work. So we've set up our audiences, we've developed our audiences, we've leveraged all the data that we have, and now we want to go out and we want to start to build some campaigns. So there's multiple steps in the campaign process, and we like to go through it and develop a strategy and go through a process each time, and each time is a similar process, but it has a little bit of a difference as we work our way through. And I'm going to take you through a few case studies now that explains how we work through our process, how we develop our campaigns, and I'll show you some great examples. So this right here is a cherry blossom area. These are cherry trees in Traverse City, Michigan. Now, Traverse City is the cherry capital of the world. And each spring, this happens on the cherry trees where they have incredible, beautiful sites of flowering cherry trees and gigantic orchards. And I mean, acres upon acres upon acres. And it's just a great sight to see. So this happens on the shoulder seasons when Traverse City needs some additional business. And we all understand what shoulder seasons are in our business cycle. You know, we have our high seasons where we usually gain consumers, or consumers come to visit us without a lot of work. And if we have very good high seasons, you know, we establish a great user base. But it's the shoulder seasons that really make us more successful and profitable, right? It's filling in our soft periods, whether you're a restaurant and you're filling in early dining or late dining, but you know, your dinner time is good. You're always trying to fill in the soft periods. So Traverse City came to us with a challenge of saying, you know, we have these shoulder seasons we want to fill in, and the only thing we really have going on right now are these cherry blossoms. But how many people do you know that have identified themselves with an interest in cherry blossoms? Probably not a lot, right? So there's been a bit of a challenge. So we sat back and went to our whiteboards and we did a little bit of thinking. And we said, well, let's start at Google Analytics. And this is when we do our campaign and start to develop our campaigns. We try to leverage every piece of data we have. And when I talk about analyzing before strategizing, this is where it all starts. So we dig into our Google Analytics, and here's a great example of how we did it with Traverse City, Michigan. As we went into our behavior, went to all pages, and then we did a keyword search for cherry blossoms, and we started to see the pages where people engaged in either cherry related pages and or cherry blossom related locations on the website. So this was a great indicator to us that there was a lot of traffic and interest in these cherry blossoms. So even though we didn't have an email list or any other type of data that showed that people were interested in these cherry blossoms, we did have some Google Analytic data. And so then we scratched our head a little bit more and came up with a solution. So what we did is we looked back at all of the pages they had on their website that had cherry blossom related content. So here's the top 3 things to know. Here's when will the cherry blossoms appear. And I think throughout the life period of their website, they might have had 8 to 12 pages that had cherry blossom related content. Well, fortunately for us, we had the Facebook Pixel installed, and every time someone went to those pages, they were recorded to showing some type of interest in cherry blossoms by visiting the page, and they were in a specific bucket. So what we did is we went into our Facebook Ads Manager and we created what we call the URL audience. And then those URL audiences were developed on the pages that were all about cherry blossoms. So we developed that one specific core audience from these pages. And then we went out and we built a lookalike audience. And that lookalike audience so we had the URL audience and we built a lookalike audience, which again, we have one zebra, we're finding more zebras. We developed a lookalike audience, and then we start to think about some ad targeting because we have now a sizable audience to work with, rather than maybe a few thousand or tens of thousands of people. You know, now we have hundreds of thousands or maybe millions. And then we started to work our way down and whittle those on based on geographic location, because we know in the springtime, Traverse City usually receives mostly drive traffic within 4 hours or 5 hours or so. So we targeted destinations within 5 hours, did the combo, and then started to develop some ads with some video and some images and other content. So that were well targeted to consumers. So then we built this landing page where it was the call to action or the location people will land after they clicked on the page. So if you look at this page right here, you can see that the consumers are going through, they're seeing this page, they're learning more about cherry blossoms. And when we were done running this campaign, we ended up with a 3% click-through rate, cost per click of about 30%, and more than 4,700 link clicks back to the Traverse City website. So that was a great opportunity for us and showed some great option and some very, very direct targeting. So next example is really about timing. So as you kind of saw that last one was Traverse City in terms of trying to fill a shoulder period. The other one was in this example we're going to show now, was trying to leverage content and product in the right time. And so we work with the Cobb County Convention and Visitor Bureau in Indiana. And what they do is they have a little museum, a Duesenberg Museum down there. And I think Duesenbergs were originally built there. They also have a few other car museums. And last fall, actually, probably around this time of year, they were looking for some content to promote. They're trying to drive some additional web traffic, gain some interest for some consumers. Of course, they're doing everything they can to build audience. But one thing that they really hooked into, which was a great opportunity, was timing. And if you remember, it was the time when the movie Ford versus Ferrari was coming out and/or was in theaters. It became a pretty popular movie. People were interested in the movie. They were doing a lot of online searches. They were looking at content about the movie. So we developed a blog post, the 5 things that the Ford V8 Museum wants you to know about the movie Ford versus Ferrari. So we did a tie-in with the movie and the content and what the museum included in DeKalb County, Indiana. So then, after we built the landing page, we built a series of ads, if you could see those, highlighting the museum. And of course, if you click on the Learn More button, you would go to the landing page I just showed you. And we set up targeting based on the pixels on the website that came to specific Ford pages or Ford interest pages. And then we went back in and we did some interest targeting, which is another targeting option in the Facebook Ads Manager that's very similar or to our specific audience targeting. So we targeted classic cars, Ferrari, Ford Motor Company, vintage cars. And then again, we went back into the DMAs or the area that they knew that people would most likely travel to. And we set up the ads and then set those out. So if you can see here some of the results, we ended up with about a 14 cents cost per action, ended up with 4,751 clicks back to the website. And again, another CTR, click-through rate of 5.1%. So these are all pretty big numbers for a small organization like the DeKalb Convention and Visitors Bureau. And again, they only spent roughly $600 or so on this promotion. And if you could see year over year, right there, you can see the blue is this. It was 2019, and the yellow was 2018, and you can see the increase year over year with just a little bit of promotion. So again, bringing people to the website, having people learn more about the product, and hopefully consider making a trip and or just making a trip to the location. So next, we're going to talk a little bit about some teamwork and another option that's available for everyone in terms of data and information that can be leveraged not only by tourism organizations, but by partners and by tourism organizations and Chamber of Commerce's and partners working together. So we talk a little bit about co-opetition, and co-opetition is obviously the collaboration between two businesses. And there's no better way to do this right now than with data and the data opportunity that we have. So Facebook right now allows us to do cooperative data sharing. So it's probably right now the hottest thing that's available to us, or one of the things that you could do to leverage your marketing to its fullest extent. So we all like to share, and when we share things, it makes people happy and animals happy. So you have to think about the sharing process. So how does this work? So basically, what happens is an organization, for example, it could be the Traverse City Convention and Visitors Bureau, and we're going to show you an example of how we worked it in a second in our last case study. But the Traverse City Convention and Visitors Bureau has an audiences about people who came to a resort page and a summer page for Crystal Mountain, one of their resorts within the Traverse City area. Crystal Mountain was looking to do a digital ad promotion. Traverse City had audiences developed on their page of people who showed interest in visiting the area in summer, and also people who clicked it on specific pages that showed interest in Crystal Mountain. Traverse City Tourism Organization made those audiences, and then through an easy share an audience through the Facebook Ad Manager, they added in the Crystal Mountain account ID number right there, and they hit share, and then the Crystal Mountain account Ad Manager can actually go in, develop an ad campaign, and share those audiences. So the person would see the ad from Crystal Mountain, all based on interest and activities that they took with the lead organization, like the Traverse City Tourism Organization. And it could be vice versa also. We've also done things where we've used hotel email lists and hotel data and shared those back to the Convention and Visitors Bureau and or Chamber to help promote in another scale for the organization. So it could be done both ways, but it's a highly effective way right now of sharing data and optimizing audiences and finding the right consumers for your product. So I'm going to share the last case study with you, which had some data sharing options. This is a little amusement park in northeastern Pennsylvania called Knoebels. I think it's the country's largest free entrance amusement park. And you can go in and you can have picnics and you can ride roller coasters and you can have a lot of fun while you're in there. And they wanted to work with the tourism organization in Columbia Montour County and promote summer getaways and summer packages that included tickets to the resort. So we went in and worked with Knoebels. We did a mass export of their ticket purchases from the last 2 years, took that data based on phone numbers and emails, organized it, uploaded it to Facebook, and created what one was a custom audience. And then we made a lookalike audience with everyone with similar traits and characteristics. And we used that to run an ad campaign that the tourism organization in Columbia Montour paid for. So here's an example of what the ads look like. And if you look at these two ads, you can kind of see some movement in them. Any type of ad that you can have a movement in is going to get some additional traction on Facebook. So you have the ability, as people are going through the feed, whether it be on their phone, on Instagram, whatever the case is, if you have any type of action on a ad, people are going to it's going to catch their eye, and they're probably going to stop. We call them thumb stoppers. They'll click on the link. It'll stop the flow, and it's going to garner some attention. So if you have a highly targeted ad that's coming to me as a consumer, and even though the photo may not be very attractive, I may not click, but with a highly targeted ad and an attractive photo, I'm definitely going to take action. So then in this campaign, we also leveraged the machine learning capabilities of the Facebook network. Now, what this means is Facebook has a great ability for you to go in and they will watch actions of consumers and help amplify ads and content that garner higher action from specific consumers, so you'll get consistent action in the future. So this is an example we call dynamic creative. And if you could see this, as you're setting up your ad, you have the ability to use multiple images, and the moving photos, we call those cinemagraphs. We had some cinemagraphs in here. We had some others that were just plain set up photos. And as you can see on the left side, as things scroll down, you can see the multiple photos we used, 10 photos. We use 5 options for text. We have link 5 options for links, and 5 options for content and headers. So what this really is kind of a live A/B test through this process. So you develop the ads. Facebook randomly does all of these combos by itself through the machine learning. And the ads that get the most action or most interaction, or the content that gets the most action or interaction, is the content that continues to serve up. So as the ad campaign is running, it becomes more successful based on the feedback and engagement from the consumers. And this is one of those things that the old days of Don Draper and the Mad Men, they didn't have any of these types of options. And we are sitting on all of these options today, and they're all available very, very low cost and or nearly free. All you have to do is run an ad campaign, and that ad campaign could start at $10 or $25, wherever the case is. So it doesn't take a lot of money. One thing you have to remember is the scalability of this entire process. So as you can see there, we use the website audiences. You can see that we used page audiences from Knoble's website. We also uploaded audiences from ticket users, or people who have purchased tickets. And then we sent them to this landing page. Landing page highlights the packages and the stays, kind of communicates what you could do. And if you click on you can call the book, and when you book your package, you include your free tickets. When you get to the hotel, your ticket package is there. And when we ran that campaign, we ended up with 23,963 link clicks at 18 cents per click, with a link click-through rate of $5 or 5 cents, 5% link click-through rate. And again, another high all click-through rate. And the all click-through rate is the engagement that consumers take on the page. So the link click-through rate is a direct click from the ad to the organization's website. The all clicks means all the engagement that consumer has while they're working, while they're working through the campaign, and they're clicking on a share, on a reaction, clicking back to the Facebook page, etc. That's all adds up. So they're very affordable and very successful. So I know everyone there is in Kansas, and people look at us sometimes and they say, well, you're the man behind the curtain and you've got a lot of secrets. Well, obviously the secrets aren't that big. And this is something that any one of you can do, and you don't have to be the man behind the curtain to be successful. So you say, well, geez, how can we learn more about this? Well, Facebook has a great education process called Facebook Blueprint. And you can actually go through and watch videos and read tutorials about how to run some of these ads, how to develop your strategy, how to leverage all of their data, and really work your way through to being very successful. Very easy to do. You go to Facebook for Business, you read a little bit more and subscribe to the Blueprint. There's a series of tests you could take, and you can get a certification. But it's an excellent way to learn more about this entire process. And if you'd like to learn more about this from us, you can learn more socially. through following us, 26 Digital, at Twitter, at 26 Digital, and or Facebook /26 Digital. And we also have an e-newsletter that we send out. You can go to 26digital.com/e-news and you can subscribe anytime you'd like. So with that, I think we're going to move to the Q&A portion of this. And I think somebody's going to hop in with some potential questions.
Yeah,
for us.
Dave, hi.
Yes.
It's Bridget again.
Yes, Bridget.
We
Hello there.
did have a question. Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for being so flexible and being willing to come to our in-person conference when we were had it scheduled, but being able to pivot very quickly and turn this into a virtual presentation. So thank you.
Yeah,
A question that came about came over the question and answer box is, do you have any insight into campaigns like the Stop Hate for Profit Facebook campaign that came out, I believe it was in July, when there are different might be political or civic organizations that are really pushing to not advertise on Facebook. And I know that here in the state of Kansas, we all kind of dealt with it a little bit differently. I know at the state, we did pull back our paid advertising during that month. Just would kind of like to hear your input on campaigns like that and how we should respond.
You know, I think that's a personal and organizational choice. If you would, you know, it all depends on the, I guess, bylaws, input that you have from your people and communities. I mean, if you're uncomfortable doing something like that, I would say, you know, don't. But you know, the shutdown was or the I guess the non-use, from what we understand, was somewhat limited. We didn't have any of our clients that opted out of the process. We allowed all of them to make their own decision. There's plenty of other digital outlets we can utilize. We found this to be the most profitable and the most cost efficient for everyone involved. So that's kind of where we stand. We don't really, I guess I really don't have to take a side either way on this. We're pretty neutral. We like to run successful campaigns for our clients, and we will run them wherever people feel that they would like them to run.
No, great answer. Okay, one more question before we move on. With the number of social media platforms that there are out there right now, what is your best advice on how to not spread our staff and our time and our impact too thin?
Yeah, so we always recommend probably the top 3 right now, based on traffic and engagement, and especially connection with travel and tourism. We always recommend Facebook and Instagram as the top 2. Number 3, and coming in we could say coming in very hot because they've been on a bit of an increase and a rise lately, is Pinterest. First, Pinterest really sets well within the travel and tourism sector. Majority of the users are women. The majority of the users are between 35 and 55-year-old women. And if we all know travel and tourism marketing, that is the prime demographic for planning and researching travel. So we've actually been leveraging Pinterest a lot more, probably in the last 6 to 9 months, with great success. So if there are 3 places that I would advise you to use your time, I would say it would be in Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. Twitter is kind of a little bit of an outlier right now. In terms of content. I mean, it got toxic. I know they're trying to clean it up. Twitter does very well, though, when targeting men. If you have outdoor activities, hunting, fishing, golf, Twitter does a very nice job in terms of response there. So if that's your prime bread and butter, I would recommend that. But Pinterest is doing very well, and they really have all the same tools as Facebook and Instagram do. Their audience is just a little bit smaller, well, a lot smaller than both of those applications, but they do respond very well, and we've had great success there on just general community management and ad platforms.
You good? Okay, we had one more question come in. I wasn't going to take any more, but there's one more, and it was a really good one.
Okay.
With competitive data sharing, are there any considerations or concerns with data privacy or consumer opt-in when sharing data between organizations?
So in terms of ad targeting, we always recommend that you have a clause in your privacy statement. I mean, everybody should have a privacy statement on their website right now, and or let people know that you're collecting data via cookies. You know, the GDPR setup really pushed everybody in that direction. So you should definitely have a privacy policy and or an option on your page to let people know you are collecting data that will be used for future advertising and marketing means. Now, two things also, I'm not really sure people know about that. So anyway, in terms of sharing data, as long as you have that there, you are fine. A couple of other things. If anybody's ever noticed on a Facebook ad, when you see an ad in your feed, there's those three little dots on the right side, upper right side of that ad. You can actually click on that, and you can see, why am I seeing this ad? And you were able to see how you were targeted for that specific ad, which is some great insight. A lot of people say, well, geez, Facebook is listening to me, and that's why they sent me that ad. They're not really listening to you. They're just tracking every single action you've taken on the network for your entire life, and they've got a pretty good anticipation of your next move. So that's why a lot of people receive the ads and the information they do get. But as long as you're right now, as long as you are stating that on your privacy policies, there does not seem to be an issue with that type of cooperative data sharing.
Dave, thank you so
Yes.
much for being part of the 2020 Kansas Tourism Conference. And we truly do hope that in future years we can have you back and that you can be in person with all of us.
Awesome. Love to do it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you again.
All right. We are going to move on into the next section of our agenda for today. So the next part is a session on the different tourism organizations in Kansas. In previous years' post-conference surveys, there have often been expressed the desire and the need for an explanation on the many organizations throughout Kansas that work together to promote travel in our state. These organizations many times will have similar goals, and they're often working together on various projects. Some have very specific target audiences or missions, while some have more general goals. Some are membership organizations, and some are state agencies. We realize that that can get really confusing. Even to folks who have been in the industry for a long time, we sometimes get confused. So today we're going to take a little bit of time to hear from the 8 organizations that you have listed on your screen. We're going to hear a little bit about what they do and how you may want to work with them as you're promoting travel in Kansas. One of the things that I love about working with the Kansas tourism industry in Kansas is the sense of cooperation and support that we provide to each other. At the Kansas Tourism Division, we cannot effectively do what we need to do without working together with each of the organizations that are listed on your screen. We are all a little bit different in what we do, but we are all working towards the same goal: to provide a better quality of life for all Kansans through a strong travel industry and economic prosperity. So this next part is going to move fairly fast, and hopefully all the technology will work, but it will give you a quick understanding of each of the organizations and what they do. I will let you know that there might be a short delay as you're watching this, Don't worry about that. When this is recorded, you will be able to down this later, but sometimes on Zoom platforms, there is a little bit of a delay. So we're going to start off with the two organizations that are partnering today to bring you this tourism conference. And so we are going to start with TIAC, or the Travel Industry Association of Kansas. You heard earlier from Kelly Petum, the 2020 president, and here are messages from Julie Roller, the 2020 vice president, and Jim Zaleski, the president-elect.
It's a great day in Abilene. I'm Julie Roller-Weeks, Director of the Abilene Convention and Visitors Bureau and Vice President of the Travel Industry Association of Kansas. I'm involved with TIAC because I value our collective voice. Within every industry exists a professional organization where you go to find the latest trends, receive additional education, and work together to advocate for your industry. TIAC is a tourism industry's professional organization. My involvement started 12 years ago as a TIAC member and conference attendee. I thought, wow, this is a fun group, and these are my people. Since that time, I served on the board and later joined the executive committee. I'm involved with TIAC because I value TIAC's advocacy initiatives and appreciate the education opportunities. TIAC advocates for tourism initiatives in communities of all sizes. Marley and Natalie do an excellent job of keeping us up to date about weekly happenings in Topeka. They also visit with our legislators about initiatives that may benefit or harm our industry. TIAC's Day on the Hill is one of my favorite events because we fill the halls of the Capitol with tourism industry members. We visit with our legislators about the importance of tourism and its economic impact to our state. It's also our chance to show them that we support the Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism and advocate for continued and hopefully enhanced funding. Each year, TIAC partners with Kansas Tourism to host the Kansas Tourism Conference. This is our opportunity to connect, learn new tools, access industry trends, and receive professional development. And we have a lot of fun too. By participating in educational events, you can even receive your Kansas Destination Specialist certification. TIAC is your go-to organization for tourism industry information. Whether you represent a tourism attraction or tourism-related business, DMO office of one or many, being a TIAC member helps you gain first-hand information, educational opportunities, and provides a collective voice to advocate for our important industry. Ad Astra, friends.
Hey everybody, Jim Zaleski back here again. Beautiful Labette County, Kansas, where I'm the Director of Tourism. As we talked about earlier, everybody wears several different hats across the tourism industry. We work from a state level to an association level to a CVV and a DMO level, all partnering for different things. One of the most important things that we do when we put that coalition together is we meet at a destination state house in our annual conference. We're able to share times and sometimes so close that we've considered not only our business friends, but family. One of the things that we've done in the past has brought such great memories to me of Destination State House and the annual conference. While we're not able to meet in person this time, I've actually brought out a little bit of nostalgia, hopefully, to bring back what we can do at the annual conference and maybe trigger some great memories. Maybe when we were in Wichita in 2015 or 2018 or 2019 and maybe some Day on the Hills. I hang these in my office to remind me of the wonderful times I've had with all of you. I'm looking forward to having another wonderful time next year in 2021 in person in Liberal, Kansas. See you there.
Okay, next up is the Kansas Tourism Division of Kansas Wildlife Parks and Tourism. And here is a video from me with a little bit of information on what Kansas Tourism does.
Hi, I'm Bridget Joe, Director of Tourism with the Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism. The mission of the Kansas Tourism Division is to inspire travel to and throughout Kansas to maximize the positive impacts that tourism has on our state and local communities. Our goal is to share with the rest of the world the unique and diverse stories and places to visit throughout the state of Kansas. Kansas Tourism Division is the statewide marketing agency that shares the story of Kansas and invites the world to come visit us. We inspire travel to Kansas in our publications, such as the annual Kansas Travel Guide, on the state travel website, travelks.com, and through all types of marketing platforms. We conduct annual research each year that tracks the growth and the health of the tourism industry in Kansas. We oversee programs such as Kansas Byways, Kansas Agritourism, the Kansas Travel Information Center, and of course, Kansas Magazine. We provide support to local communities, attractions, events through our grant programs, collaborative marketing and PR efforts, and by providing educational and growth opportunities such as partnering with TIAC for this conference. I am not going to spend any more time today talking about what Kansas Tourism Division does, because day 3 of this virtual tourism conference will be entirely dedicated to updates and reports from the Kansas Tourism Division. I encourage you to come back for that conference session on October 21st, where I will go into much more detail on all of our programs, the successes and the challenges we have had in this past year, and we'll be sharing some exciting updates on our future marketing endeavors.
Okay, next up is Humanities Kansas. This is an organization that works very closely with Kansas Tourism and with many of the communities across the state, as their mission is to tell the stories of Kansas. Here is Tracy Quillen, the Associate Director of Humanities Kansas, to tell you a little bit about what they do.
Hello, I'm Tracy Quillen, Associate Director of Humanities Kansas. Happy National Arts and Humanities Month from Humanities Kansas. Humanities Kansas is an independent nonprofit spearheading a movement of ideas to empower the people of Kansas to strengthen their communities and our democracy. Since 1972, our pioneering programming, grants, and partnerships have documented and shared stories to spark conversations and generate insights. Together with our partners and supporters, we inspire all Kansans to draw on history, literature, ethics, and culture to enrich their lives and to serve the communities and the state we all proudly call home. Humanities Kansas invites you to join the movement of ideas. Visit humanitieskansas.org to find an event. Last year, Kansans used HK resources to present 685 humanities events in 107 communities. You can also request a speaker from HK's Speakers Bureau. You can explore Kansas stories and movement of ideas kits on HK's blog. Apply for a grant. HK offers Humanities for All and Culture Preservation grants. Learn about the Crossroads Change in Rural America initiative. Crossroads is anchored by a statewide Smithsonian Institution traveling exhibition currently touring the state. At Humanities Kansas, we believe that stories carry our culture and ideas change the world. Sign up for HK's e-newsletter at humanitieskansas.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Oh, and don't forget, visit humanitieskansas.org to get the number for the brand new Humanities Hotline, your one-stop shop for short stories about Kansas, history, literature, and poetry. Thanks so much.
Okay, next we have the Kansas Sampler Foundation. They are up next, and they are all about preserving and sustaining the rural culture in Kansas. Here is Marcy Penner to tell you a little bit more about Kansas Sampler Foundation.
Hey everyone, I'm Marcy Penner with the Kansas Sampler Foundation. We'd like to show you our new wrap. You may see us coming down the road. We miss you all. We can't wait to be together again. We're located on a farm near Inman in McPherson County. And my dad and I started this foundation in 1990 when we did our first Kansas guidebook. We realized that Kansans didn't know their own state very well and that rural communities needed support. So we formed this nonprofit. And if you'll come over here, I can explain things a little bit more. Our mission is to preserve and sustain rural culture. So one thing we do is educate Kansans about Kansas. And so we do projects like the Kansas Explorers Club, Kansas Guidebooks, the 8 Wonders of Kansas, and the Big Kansas Road Trip coming up in May. The other thing we do, beside create an audience for communities of every size, is to support rural communities. So in this guidebook, we went to every town in the state. And in this guidebook, there's 4,800 entries representing 500 cities at no cost. It costs to buy the book, but no cost to be in the book. And so that's one way we support communities. We also do things like the Big Rural Brainstorm, the Weekend Conference, a Kansas Power Up and Go project, all sorts of things to support rural communities as well as educate Kansans about Kansas, because we have such a fabulous state and we want to share what we have. Just like you're doing, sharing, we want to help too. So we'd love to invite you all to be Kansas Explorer Club members if you're not already. We want to thank you for your support over the years, and a real big shout out to the Kansas State Tourism Office for being such a good partner with us. And we just help each other in any way we can. So Wendy Rao, the other full-time employee, is behind the camera. And to sign off, would like to say, we'll see you on the road.
You can find us and more information at kansassampler.org.
Hey everyone.
Okay, next we have the Kansas Museums Association, or KMA as it's often referred to. By the way, their virtual conference is coming up. I believe it starts on November 4th, and I encourage you all to go to their website to get more information. Here is Alexis Rattle, the secretary for KMA.
Hello from the Kansas Museums Association, known as KMA. My name is Alexis Redule, and I work at Mahaffey Stagecoach Stop and Farm Historic Site in Olathe, Kansas. I serve as secretary on the KMA board, and I also serve as the KMA representative on the Tourism Industry Association of Kansas board. KMA is a statewide organization serving museums, historical societies, libraries, zoos, nature centers, and Convention and Visitors Bureau. KMA is a primary resource for professional development, advocacy, networking, and we host a statewide conference every year to provide these opportunities to our members. KMA strengthens the Kansas museum community through education, collaboration, communication, and advocacy. How you can become involved with your local museum. Try to take in a visit to your local museum, attend an exhibit opening, attend one of the programs, stop by and say hello. Museums serve as an integral part of our tourism economy here in Kansas. We share our local stories, our local history through artifacts and programs. It's a great opportunity to have history give you a perspective during these uncertain times. History has taught us that Kansas has endured a lot of challenging times, and just remember, ad astra per aspera, to the stars through difficulties.
Okay, the next three organizations that you're going to hear from are coalitions that have formed in Kansas to market to very specific target audiences. You will notice that their names, Meet Kansas, Tour Kansas, and Sports Kansas, all very conveniently describe the market that they are going after. So first up is Meet Kansas, who, as their name states, works with meeting and event planners. Here is Janet Kuhn from Hayes to tell you a little bit more about their organization.
Hi, I'm Janet Kuhn. I am with the Hayes Convention and Visitors Bureau. We are members of Meet Kansas, and Meet Kansas is a group of member communities that have pulled our monies together so we can promote conventions, conferences, small meetings, large meetings to the state of Kansas. One of the reasons that we are a member of Meet Kansas is because Hayes itself doesn't have as much money to spend to attend meetings like conventions like small market meetings. But if we pull our money together and all 12 member communities work together, we do have enough money to get our name out there, let everyone around the United States know Kansas is a perfect place to meet. Our logo for Meet Kansas is Meet in the Middle. And so, well, our slogan, I guess, is what I would call that. So it's really, really important that we get this information out to folks that are having meetings and conventions across the United States. good to be here at small market meetings, and it's great to be getting the Kansas name out to all those planners. Thank you, and we hope you will become a member of Meet Kansas also.
That was great to see, Hayes, and I know there were a couple other communities who are members of Meet Kansas who were all at small market meetings this week. That was great that they recorded it there. Next up is Tour Kansas, and Tour Kansas works with group tour planners as they are gathering information about Kansas and planning their next motor coach or group travel trip. Here is Megan Welsh, the Tour Kansas president, to share with you a little bit about what they do.
Hello, I'm Megan Welsh, and I'm the 2020 Tour Kansas president. Tour Kansas is more than 60 partners strong, comprised of attractions, hotels, restaurants, chambers of commerce, and convention and visitors bureaus. And we work together so that groups can travel across the state with comfort, ease, value, and enjoyment.
And then last but not least, we're going to end with Sports Kansas, whose goal is to increase sports-related travel to our state. Here is Tiffany Benin from Salina and the current president of Sports Kansas.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Kansas Tourism Conference. I'm Tiffany Benin, the 2020 president of Sports Kansas. And I'd like to thank the Travel Industry Association of Kansas and the Kansas Tourism Department for allowing me to tell you what Sports Kansas is all about. As many of you know, the sports industry has a positive impact on the Kansas economy, and Sports Kansas is the group that brings the communities together to enhance and grow that impact. Sports professionals that decide to become members in Sports Kansas have many opportunities to grow. Sports Kansas membership benefits include networking, education, cooperative advertising, and pay-to-play opportunities, access to rights holders' contacts via events that we attend as a group, not to mention a great shirt, lifelong friends, and fun. Membership fees are just $150 a year, and if this sounds like fun to you, I strongly encourage you to take a look and consider being a member of Sports Kansas. To join, send us an email at sportsksinfo@gmail.com. Again, that's sportsksinfo@gmail.com, and we'll reply with an application. Or if you have any questions, I suggest that you visit with any of our members. But specifically, we have a great executive team. Our incoming president is Mike Bell from Topeka. Our incoming vice president is Holly Leiker in Hutchinson. Our treasurer is Justin Stein from Kansas City, Kansas. And our secretary is Melissa Sowers from the Finney County CVB. In addition to our executive team, Sports Kansas has several committees, and a lot of hard work and dedication goes into each of those committees from all of our members. And I know from all of our members, we would love to have you as part of our Sports Kansas team. Again, thank you for the opportunity to visit about Sports Kansas, and I hope you all have a great rest of this virtual Kansas Tourism Conference. Thank you.
I hope that was beneficial for you and that you learned something new about some of the tourism organizations in Kansas. I encourage you to contact any of them that you are interested in finding out more. We will be sending out contact information. Look for it in some follow-up emails from Travel Talk and from TIAC as we're following up. But if nothing else, I hope that you enjoyed getting to see some of the tourism industry faces from across the state. So I am now going to turn this back over to TIAC President Kelly Petum to introduce our next agenda item.
All right, thank you, Bridget. Now that you guys have all seen different ways to get involved, I'm going to actually speak a little bit about an opportunity with something we offer. The Travel Industry Association of Kansas, or TIAC, offers the Kansas Destination Specialist, which you'll hear a lot of times just referred to as KDS. So a certification program designed to familiarize and further your knowledge of the state of Kansas, tourism, marketing, and leadership. So this program, I think a lot of people, when I chat about it, don't think it's maybe for a seasoned professional, but this program is definitely something that hits both spectrums. It's for the seasoned professional or just someone actually entering into our industry as a professional. Other things with, it's a great program that also exhibits, professionalism in the industry. It also kind of gives you a certification, not only for your personal growth, but something that your superiors or someone above can kind of see that, hey, you are, not only getting an education from this association, but also, getting some personal growth with it as well. So with that, if you're actually looking for some more information on how to get involved, just check out the website. It'll actually get you rolling, get you some information that you might need. And, maybe next year you can be up on the stage and getting things done or getting some awards. But anyway, another person that really knows this program and has put a lot of heart and passion in behind it is Sally Fuller. So I'm going to actually pass it along to Sally and let her kind of take over about the KDS.
Hi, I'm glad to be back with you and glad that you now can't see me. I'd like to congratulate the following TIAC members and hardworking tourism professionals for earning their Kansas Destination Specialist this year. Next slide, please. Next slide. Rebecca Bachman, who works for Kansas City, Kansas Convention and Visitors Bureau as Marketing and Events Coordinator. Born and raised in Kansas, Rebecca was preparing to work in the Kansas tourism industry since the day she was born. She started off in the hospitality industry dressing up like a wolf and reading to countless visitors at the Great Wolf Lodge in Kansas City. Graduating from the University of Kansas with a Bachelor of Science in Journalism with an emphasis in strategic communications in December 2014, she began working for KCK CBB as the Visitor Services Coordinator and Marketing Assistant in January 2015. As an advocate for Kansas travel and tourism, Rebecca has contributed several blogs for travelks.com. Earlier this year, she was accepted into the Destinations International 30 Under 30 program. She currently serves as the 2020 president for the Kansas City, Kansas Chamber of Commerce Young Professionals Initiative, KCK Forward. Congratulations, Rebecca. Our next recipient is Alice Kress, who is a tourism counselor at the Goodland Travel Information Center for the Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism. Alice is a native of Northwest Kansas, born in St. Francis and raised in Bird City. She graduated from Washburn University in 1991 with a bachelor's in business administration. She's been a tourist counselor for the state of Kansas for 21 years at the Goodland Tourist Information Center. Alice can also be seen going to many restaurants in Northwest Kansas with her lunch groups. Congratulations, Alice. Our third recipient is Andrea Etzel. Andrea is the publication manager at Kansas Tourism Division of the Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism. A fifth-generation Kansan, Andrea was born and raised in Topeka. Moving briefly to Savannah, Georgia to attend college, she landed her first job in tourism as a tour guide for a historic house museum. After graduation, Andrea clicked her heels and came back home. Settling in Topeka, she became the marketing director for the Kansas Children's Discovery Center. In 2014, Andrea was offered her dream job as the publications manager for the Kansas Tourism Division of Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism. She also has the honor of being editor-in-chief of Kansas Magazine. An avid photographer, Andrea loves exploring and capturing images of her journeys, all with her dog Amelia in tow. Congratulations, Andrea. Our next recipient is Christina Hayes, who is the CVB Tourism Director and Community Coordinator for the City of Great Bend Convention and Visitors Bureau. Christina was born and raised in Claflin, a small town just outside of Great Bend. After graduating from Fort Hays State University with her bachelor and master's degree in public relations communications, she started her career as a prevention consultant working with 14 counties on how to build strong, healthy communities. This led perfectly into her dream job, serving as the City of Great Bend Community Coordinator for 10 years, and then adding the role of CVB Tourism Director in 2016. Christina enjoys being a promoter for all things she loves, which includes gardening, tap dancing, fun in the sun, and considers herself a new lover of hiking Kansas trails thanks to KDS. Christina is the proud mama of Richie 10 and 2 rescue dogs, Duke and Boomer. Congratulations, Christina. Our next recipient is Kelly Hilliard. Kelly is the Industry Relations Manager for the Kansas Tourism Division of the Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism. Kelly was born and raised in Council Grove, where her interest in tourism began. She received her Associates of Arts degree from Cloud County Community College and her Bachelor of Science degree in Tourism and Marketing from the University of Central Missouri. In her 19 years at the Tourism Division, she's been involved in various roles, actively promoting and marketing the state of Kansas. She's now charged with working directly with the Kansas tourism industry. She's the mother of 2 wonderful kids, Jake and Avery. Congratulations, Kelly. Betsy Smith is the Recreation and Tourism Coordinator for the City of Bonner Springs Tourism. Born and raised in Olathe, Betsy graduated in 2010 from Olathe Northwest High School and then earned bachelor's and master's degrees at Pittsburgh State University in recreation with an emphasis in community, corporate, and hospitality. She's been with the City of Bonner Springs for 5 years and has been the Recreation and Tourism Coordinator for almost 4 years. When not overseeing the Bonner Springs Aquatic Park and helping visitors explore Bonner Springs, Betsy can be found spending time with family and friends, visiting parks, and watching sports. Congratulations, Betsy. Excuse me. Brenda Smith is also a tourist counselor for the Goodland Travel and Information Center, Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism. Brenda started at the Travel Information Center rest area as a maintenance worker and became impressed with how much history Kansas has to offer. Later, a part-time job as a tourist counselor turned into full-time. She's been with Kansas Tourism for 15 years, loving every minute of it. In 2017, she completed the requirements to become a certified Kansas tourism counselor recognized by U.S. Travel Association, National Council of State Tourism Directors. Brenda and her wonderful husband have 3 grown children and are expecting their 10th grandchild. Her hobbies are sewing, hiking, walking, and horseback riding, spending time with family, friends, and grandkids. Congratulations, Brenda. If you're interested in becoming a Kansas destination specialist, all of the information for the award is on TIAC.org, or just give me a call at the Liberal Convention and Visitors Bureau. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally, for all the work that you do with the KDS program. I know that you have worked on this for many years, and I know that it takes a lot tracking everyone's points and all of their book reports. Congratulations to all the new KDS specialists. Welcome to the KDS Club. We are so glad that you have joined us. All right, I have several important announcements before we end day 1 of the 2020 Kansas Tourism Conference. As you can see on your screen, the upcoming dates and the topics for our 3 remaining dates. Next week is all about data. You are going to hear a report from U.S. Travel, and then we will have a presentation from Smith Travel Research and a presentation from CSource. All of these companies have good information on the effects that the pandemic has had on our industry nationwide and in Kansas. And this is going to be important information that you will want to have as we are moving forward. And just a reminder, the registration link that you use today will work for all conference sessions. You will not need to register again. You will also notice day 3 is Wednesday, October 21st. That will be the Kansas Tourism Division updates. And day 4 is all about moving forward, where we will have a presentation from Bajillion Agency and also the TIAC Marketing Boards. And then we will end the conference on October 28th from a 4 to 5 p.m. happy hour. So on the final day of the conference on October 28th, during that virtual happy hour, we are going to be holding our 30 for 30. This is where you, as a DMO, a community attraction, basically anyone from the tourism industry, will have 30 seconds to share your best and your most creative marketing or promotion idea that you have used in the past year. We will have judges, and the best idea is going to win a great prize. We only have 30 spots available, and they are filling up very quickly. So if you have a great idea that you want to share, I need you to email office@tiac.org right now. Also, during the happy hour, you are going to have an opportunity to share your message to the rest of the industry through a photo and through a sign. It can be a photo of your entire team, it can be you individually, but we need you to send us a photo with your message that we will play during that hour. You can use a hashtag, a quote, a statement, basically whatever you want to say. Just make sure it's printed bold enough that we can read it, and we will share it with everyone during the happy hour. Here are some examples that I shared during our last huddle to give you some ideas about what we are looking for. Again, these need to be emailed to office@tiac.org as soon as possible. The deadline on the photos is October 22nd, but I encourage you to take your photo and get it sent in right away. It just makes it a lot easier for us as we are putting this all together. I want to thank our sponsors one more time: Emporia Convention and Visitors Bureau, Visit Shawnee, Visit Kansas City, Kansas, and Visit Topeka. Thank you for hanging in with us and being a sponsor for the Kansas Tourism Conference this year. I also want to do another quick shout out to Liberal Kansas for being willing to delay their hosting of the Kansas Tourism Conference until October of 2021. Liberal, get ready. We will see you in person next year. And everyone else, make sure that you have marked your calendars for October 18th through the 20th of 2021 to be in Liberal. With that, day 1 of the Kansas Tourism Conference is completed. Day 2 is 1 week from today on Wednesday, October 14th from 1 to 3 p.m. Have a wonderful week. To the stars.